Welcome to the Florida Trail Runners Project. Out in the woods, out in the swamps, down by the Willie Coochie. It started with a podcast, now it's a thing. The Florida Trail Runners.
The world's best cross-country runners are heading to Leon County as Tallahassee hosts the 2026 World Athletics Cross Country Championships.
Leon County will be the center of the global running world.
The World Athletics Cross Country Championship is returning to U.S. soil for the first time in over 3 decades, with more than 500 athletes representing over 60 countries.
Here we go. Okay, committed start there, perhaps from Alexis Millet of France as they go through the speckled shade here, the Appalachia Regional Park. This downhill section super quick, 2 kilometres for each leg here. It is stipulated you've got to go man, woman for this race. The officials here invite some of the best runners in the world onto the course. Pretty perfect start. There's the results of the mixed relay, the opening race here. Australia take gold, the first global title awarded today. France second and Ethiopia third.
All right, here we are with episode 121 of the Florida Trail Runners podcast. And with this one, we are going back to the World Cross Country Championship in Tallahassee. On the chat, we've got Jack Anstey. Now, he has represented Australia at the 2022 World Indoor Championship, the 2023 World Road Running Championship. He holds the Australian and Oceanian records in the indoor 1,000 meter. And of course, near the beginning of this year, he represented Australia again, the 2026 World Cross Country Championship as a member of the mixed relay. And this year, Australia pulled it off, getting the gold in that mixed relay event. So hey, let's just jump right into the chat.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, I had just enough time.
No, I literally just walked in the door from a run, so you're fine.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I know it's been some time since World Cross Country, but obviously you're already back racing. You know, I saw that new PB in the 3K in Boston.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a fun weekend out there. We were not used to the weather. It was pretty brutal out there, to be honest, especially having my last race be in Florida. It was a bit of a shock to the system going out east to Boston.
And it's been super cold up north, like that area.
Yeah, no, it has. Yeah, it's been brutal. We had a couple of teammates stay out there for the week in between because they raced Boston the week before that, and it was, yeah, pretty brutal. Felt bad for them.
I mean, even here in Florida, we're complaining about the cold, but
yeah,
it's not like feet of snow and that cold of weather.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it was beautiful in Florida, actually. It was. I was in Australia in December, so it was like, I feel like it was nice I was used to the heat, so it's not that humid in Australia, but it was nice to come out there for a few days and get some warm weather. Flag hasn't been too bad, but we get snow every couple of weeks, and it's still pretty cold. So
yeah, and I guess we should give you an introduction. You know, you've been in the sport already now for a while, and I think what I've heard, like, you actually started off playing cricket as a kid. So, you know, like, how did you even get into running?
Yeah, no, I didn't start running until I was like, I would have been like 17. I was really late into it. I was like the end of my sophomore year of high school. So really only in my junior year did I really like start kind of training and stuff like that. So yeah, I played cricket growing up. I was pretty serious about that. Like, I played a decent level of cricket. I like made it to like the national championships a couple of times representing my state, and was like, yeah, that was kind of all I was ever really interested in as a kid. Played a bit of soccer, I played a few sports, but cricket was number one. And then it was only when we moved. I moved when I was in grade 9, end of grade 9 going into grade 10, and then just like was at a new school and kind of stumbled into running as a bit of a social thing, just to meet some people that I kind of started running. And then I didn't even know that, like, I don't know, there was like a state championship or a national championship or anything like that. That all just kind of happened one thing at a time pretty quickly. And then so that was my kind of junior year. That all kind of started to happen, and then I had a really good senior year, and then 1 year later I was in the US on a college scholarship. So it all kind of happened pretty rapidly. But yeah, I think the fact that I didn't start running until a later age actually benefits me now, because I feel like I did so much else and developed in so many other ways that, yeah, I feel like I've got a pretty low training age. So
Yeah, I think you definitely see that with a lot of like the multi-sport athletes, or where they play soccer, run cross, and that kind of stuff. Like that variety definitely helps a lot of people. Maybe just like the longevity into the sport.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm 28, so I feel like I'm closer to the end than the beginning, but I feel like the fact that I only kind of took it up when I, like, it's only really been 10 years of actually training. So yeah, hopefully still got a while left.
Yeah, and I think those early years, before university, I mean, you went to Toowoomba High School.
Yeah, it's a tough one to pronounce.
But like obviously you did pretty well. Like in that time you were running cross country, track and field. When you were there, you won the bronze in the 800, a state champion in Queensland, multiple events, I think, like the 800 meter, 1500 meter. You had the AK cross country your senior year. So obviously, leading up to that senior year, you did have some good placements.
Yeah. Like I said, it'll happen pretty quick. I was mainly focusing on the 800 back then, because I was just so raw that like I wasn't running any like sort of mileage or anything. It was literally just going out to the track and like running 200s as fast as I could, like 3 days a week was literally the format. And then, yeah, I picked up that was like my first year doing it by myself. And then I picked up a coach my second year. And he's a really good coach. His name's Tom Bradbury. He coached Patrick Tiernan. He was an NCAA cross country champion, couple-time Olympian. He's unbelievable athlete. And yeah, I was best friends with his brother, and his brother kind of helped me get in touch with Tom. And then he started coaching me. And that's kind of when I started to move up to like the 1500 and the AK cross, and actually had some range. So definitely have a lot to credit towards him. He was like pretty important in my development. And
yeah, and eventually, like obviously that led you into the States. Like how did you end up at Illinois State?
Yeah, it was interesting because, yeah, so like I knew I wanted to come to the US, but like because I hadn't been doing it for that long, I didn't have like a ton of options. I knew I really wanted to come over and everything, but like I was only running like, I don't know, 156 and stuff like that. And it's just like I was running all my races were on like grass tracks and everything. So a lot of college coaches like weren't really looking my way. And then, yeah, I started talking to ISU and Coach Bovey there, and he was, I don't know, I just got a really good feeling from him right away. Like he was pretty big on long-term development and like wanted to give me a say in the training and everything, and just like really wanted me to come out there. So yeah, I never even went on a visit or anything. I just like decided to go there. And yeah, it was funny. Like that summer I ended up running like 150 or 149 in the 8 and started having like some bigger schools reach out. But by that point I was already happy with the decision, and I thought about transferring a couple times, but yeah, like I said, I was honestly really happy there. Going to ISU was one of the best decisions I could have ever made, and got so many friends and still have a really good relationship with the coach there. He's still there. It's definitely an interesting place to go, like moving to the Midwest in January after like I'd never even seen snow before. So like moving to the Midwest in January and like being in a new country, all that kind of thing was crazy. But yeah, I had some good people to show me the ropes. So it was a good experience.
Yeah, and coaching wise, I mean, you just mentioned Coach Bevy, and then I think you had Jack Shaver as well. That transition from Australia coming into Illinois, like how'd that transition play out?
No, it was pretty brutal, to be honest. Like my first year was terrible. I think my first semester I had strep throat 3 times. I was getting sick all the time. Like I said, I'd never been in like cold temperatures like that. My first semester was in the spring, so it was honestly brutal. Like I ran terribly. Yeah, there were so many different things to get used to, and I just like didn't handle it well. But yeah, like I said, I had some good people around me, and by the time the second year came around and I was kind of used to things a little bit more, it was a lot more manageable. So yeah, it was brutal, but yeah, it was pretty rewarding, because then like I said, the second year came around, I felt like I had a better grasp on everything and started to compete better, got used to school, got used to just like the process of everything, and it was a lot better after that first semester or so.
I feel like obviously that first year, like how did the program there like balance long-term development and short-term performance?
Yeah, it's tough. I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about that. Like I came in on a full scholarship, and I feel like people kind of expect you to be just like hitting the ground running kind of thing. And it's like not always easy for like a young 18-year-old kid to like come over and like deal with that expectation straight away and hit the ground running. And yeah, I feel like that was one of my favorite things about ISU, and ultimately like why I decided to stay there all 5 years was because I never felt like any pressure from the coaches, even when I was running awfully that first year. Like everyone, like, yeah, Coach Bobby was pretty much like, it's all good. Like we understand it's a transition. We understand it's tough. Like as long as we see you putting in 100% effort, which I definitely was, even though it was not showing. Yeah, he was like, I'm confident you're gonna work it out. And then yeah, it was nice to have that backing and feel like I wasn't getting left out to dry. So yeah, he was really good about that. And like I said, a couple of years later when I started to run pretty well and had could potentially leave and go to a bigger program and everything like that. I didn't really have any desire to do that because I felt like I'd been treated pretty well. So yeah.
Yeah, I can agree to that, especially like when I ran in college that first year. I mean, you're switching from the methodology definitely changes.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I was running like I had Tom in Australia, my coach in Australia, he was really good, but it was just like so vastly different to what I was doing when I came to the US, and like it was a lot more kind of strength focused, and I wasn't just ripping 200s every second day anymore. There was a lot more like methodology to the training and everything, and it's a tough transition for anyone, leave alone someone coming from overseas. So just super grateful they were patient with me.
Yeah, because like I feel like training always goes deeper than like, what workouts are you doing? Because obviously you could just look at Strava and see that type of thing.
Right.
But I guess it's more like, how was the aerobic strength built across, the different seasons?
Yeah, it was interesting because I feel like, I was still running. I was still running primarily the 800 when I moved over to the US. So like I was running cross country, but like it was never really a priority. And then it was only, I don't know, I still remember a conversation I had with Coach Bobby. I like had ran like a couple of 800s, and he just called me into his office one day and he was like, look, I know you like this event and everything, but like realistically you're 120 pounds and you're going to be a 1500 guy. Like that's just like where your ceiling is, like more, you have a high ceiling. And I just remember being so stubborn and being like, no, I'll run 144 one day, like whatever. But like, yeah, I look back now and I was like, no, he's so right. So yeah, like we pretty quickly transitioned away from the 800 and started doing like a lot more volume, and that was a big transition because my body was not used to running any sort of mileage or it was all about intensity for me, like when I first got into the sport. So that was another transition. Yeah, I feel like we had a good thing where, like, he kind of had a number in his head mileage wise, and I had a number in mine, and we were always like really, really good at collaborating. And I always appreciated how individual it was. Like, I feel like a lot of college coaches will preach like, oh yeah, come here and like we can collaborate on training and everything like that. And then like you get there and it's a cookie cutter one size fits all kind of program. It was never like that. Like if I brought him anything that I wanted to do, even if it was like, I look back at some of the stuff I was like saying I wanted to do, and like I look back now and it's like pretty stupid, but he always was like very receptive, and he's like, yep, if you want to do that, you think that'll work, like let's try that. Yeah, he was always very good like that.
Definitely having that kind of that individualized approach, because like I know for me in college, I would always do like a 100-mile, 110, 120-mile build up right into the start of season. And then I would always work my way down in mileage. Like come Nationals week, I was at, I don't know, 30 some miles a week. So like having a coach that's down for it, understands that like a lot of bodies respond to workouts like totally different.
Yeah, no, it's pretty important. I think that's like the sign of a good coach is that they aren't. That's like really good about my setup right now, actually. Like Stephen Haas, my coach, he's the same way. He hasn't got an ego. If you want to bring him something that you think's going to work for you, he's always pretty receptive to it. So I think that's pretty important to have.
Yeah, and I guess when people hear like the strength training side of it too. Like a lot of times for runners, they often think like just getting into the gym and lifting, but it's like, I guess, how does your strength work? How does that get you closer to the race demands?
Yeah, I think it's like changed a little bit over time. Like I think there was a period of time where like in the gym I was always doing kind of like whole rounded stuff. Like it was always like just a lot of plyometrics and resistance work and stuff like that. And I think that's great. But I think I've kind of ran into a few issues over the last like 2 or 3 years, especially just like as I get a bit older and I'm pushing the limits a little bit more where yeah, like I've had a couple of calf tears, some Achilles issues, some plantar stuff, and like I feel like a lot of that kind of thing needs like addressing directly rather than just like doing stuff that's like general, well-rounded like routine. So I've got a lot more targeted over the last couple of years of just doing like a ton of rehab, a ton of strengthening of like those specific areas that I tend to have weaknesses at. So yeah, my strength routine now is like honestly pretty simple. It's just like, yeah, I would call it more rehab than strength even, like just making sure I'm doing a lot of like loading of like the Achilles and calf and soleus and that kind of thing. And I feel like as long as I'm doing that pretty frequently, 2 or 3 times a week, like I can stay healthy, which is the aim of the game. So
yeah, what's that thing for the Achilles? It's almost like a calf raise, but like like Achilles extension.
Yeah, I got no idea. I think I've got a teammate who uses one of those. It's like a little like wooden board thing, but I have no idea what it looks like. I don't know. I have no idea what it is.
Like even with the strength training or like the general rehab of like just stuff that in general kind of pops up, like short and even the longer distance. I guess like at what point did you realize that you could be nationally competitive in the 1500? Because like I know you ran strong in the 8, the mile, the 15, but at the Joe Walker Invite, like you ran 3:39.
Yeah. I feel like probably, I don't know, that's a tough one. I feel like the first year I broke 4, that was 2019 before COVID. Yeah, 3:59 back then before Super Shoes was like kind of rolling. So I felt like that was kind of when I was like, oh, I'm in the mix here. And then I think that outdoor season was the first time I made like an NCAA final and was against like, yeah, it was absolutely stacked that year. It was like Yared, Ollie Hoare, who else was in there? Casey Knievelbard, my teammate, he was in there. Just like a bunch of dogs really. And I got 7th there. And I think that was kind of the first time I was like, okay, like I'm running with these guys, like I'm mixing it up. I think I can, another year of training, another 2 years of training. Like there's no reason I can't be competing to win these things. And then COVID hit and everything went to crap. But it was probably around that time. I would say 2019 was like my big kind of breakthrough. I would say.
Like how did that first year shape your approach to cross country?
Well, cross country is very different in Australia than it is the US, and yeah, that was always that was. I think I never felt that much pressure in cross country because it was never, like I said before, it was never really like a focus. So I kind of felt like it was a free swing every year. And I definitely underperformed in cross country. Like, and I think if I had my time again, I would have approached it differently. But I always kind of viewed it as like an extended summer. Like, I don't know, how in the summer in college, like it's all about just building a base. Like I just viewed cross country in general as like an extended summer where like I was just preparing for track. And if I happened to run well, then that's great. If I didn't, it was just building towards the indoor and outdoor, which was always the focal point. So that was generally how I approached it.
Yeah, I was going to say, because like you were often a scoring runner, but you weren't likely like the headliner guy, like the number one guy.
No. It was like we still train. Like we had 3 groups. One was a middle distance group. One was like a 3K, 5K kind of group, and then you had like the longer guys. And like I was never even training with the cross country team. Like I was always training with like the middle distance guys in the fall. So I never I was always running the meets and everything, but it was never like, I was never, like focusing on it.
Yeah. It's such a wild like role to embrace because like, I know for me, I was always like the 6'7" guy.
Yeah. Sorry. I was just laughing because you said 6'7". Yeah.
Did you know like what direction you wanted to go after college? Like obviously, you still had more in the tank.
Yeah. I didn't, it was just really tough with COVID and everything. Like that was like my manager and coach now, Stephen, like I had been in contact with him pretty much like throughout my senior year, and he was definitely like interested in me. But it was just a really tough time with COVID because a lot of brands weren't really branching out because it was just so unknown, obviously. And then I did not run well in the postseason my senior year, and I think that really hurt me to where like there was guys getting contracts, but the guys getting contracts were the ones that were like, you know, top 3 at NCAAs. And yeah, I felt like I had a really good senior year up until the postseason, and then I just like couldn't get it done. So yeah, after graduating, I pretty much planned to move back to Australia. And then yeah, it was only like I had a ticket home booked and everything like that. And yeah, it was only kind of in like October, towards the end of October, that Stephen reached out again and was like, hey, like we're still interested. We want to potentially bring you out to Flag, like if you want to come on a visit. And yeah, came on a visit and then loved it out here, and yeah, pretty much moved out here only like a week or two later. It all moved pretty quickly.
Yeah, even that's a big jump compared to like the weather and the environment of Illinois.
Yeah, there was a lot of unknowns. Like I'd been to Flagstaff once before, but it was only kind of passing. Like I spent like 4 or 5 days here, so I had no idea how altitude was going to go, and I think that's a big gamble. I think you see a lot of people come up here or just like anywhere at altitude in general, and like it works really, really well for some people, and some people just don't take to it. So I was really nervous about that. And then obviously just like a new training system, new people to train with that train at a completely different level to the people I was training with in college, and yeah, all of that. It's a massive transition. So yeah, it wasn't easy. But I do feel like it was a smoother transition than like coming to the US for college. Like that was just absolutely brutal in so many different ways. There was the school element. There was obviously living in a new country for the first time. Whereas, yeah, this was difficult, but I feel like it was a lot more manageable. And a lot less of a difficult transition. So
yeah, and I guess with training, like what kind of methodology are you doing now compared to college?
We do a lot of I'd say we're like definitely a lot of strength work, definitely strength focused. Like we do we're kind of on like a 2-week cycle right now where 1 week we'll do a double threshold on a Tuesday, and then almost every Friday is like a quality session, whether it's on the track or a hill session where it's, I don't know, like a hill session would be like a 1K hill rep followed by like 3 or 4 sets of 400, 300, 200 on the hill. And that's 7,000 feet. That definitely stings the legs. Or like if we're on the track, we'll do some, spike up and do some quality 400s or something like that. But outside of that, like a lot of threshold work is the focus. We do threshold long runs, and that's kind of like what we center things around. And I think that's really been like the key piece for me. Is I feel like all the speed and stuff comes pretty naturally to me, but I feel like my engine is kind of where I get let down sometimes. So coming up here and working on that the last few years is I feel like where I've been able to improve a ton. So yeah, I think that this program kind of fits me well.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed like the threshold long run, or even just doing a like progression long run.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we normally do like format it like a couple of different ways, but normally we'll do like a 5-mile warm up, and then or like 5 miles of like the long run to start, and then we'll just like quickly change shoes and do like 3 by 10 minutes or something, or we've done 30 minutes just threshold straight through a couple of times. And yeah, I feel like callousing the body like that definitely helps a lot. So
I mean, obviously it's panned out because after college you kicked off at the world stage. 2022, 2023, you represented Australia for the World Indoor Champs and the 2023 World Road Running Championships as well.
Yeah. No, it was good. Yeah, I feel like it was the first year. First year was a transition, and I feel like I feel like you need experience on the world stage a couple of times before you can really be competitive. So I feel like I'm grateful for like those opportunities. A couple of them didn't go too well, but like I said, I feel like you need a couple of experiences of just like what it's like to compete at that level around those quality guys. So I'm glad I got the opportunity so early to compete for Australia, and yeah, it's always special.
Yeah, I mean, like even in 2024, like back in Boston again, like I know that's when you got the national record in the indoor 1,000 meter.
Yeah, 20 I feel like I started 2024 really, really well. I was racing a lot. I feel like coming in, I obviously wanted to make the Olympics in 2024, and I feel like coming in, I was definitely on the outside looking in, so I was trying to race a lot early in the year to kind of like the season in Australia, like our trial is in April, so I hammered indoor season pretty hard and raced like 5 times I think, and had a lot of really good experiences in that indoor season, but yeah, it just kind of fizzled out by the time I got to the middle of the year trying to make that team. But I wouldn't kind of have it any other way. You got to do what you got to do. So
Yeah, I mean, even with like making a national team, like 2024, 2025, when did representing like Australia at the World Cross Country Championships, like when did that come up?
We like thought we thought I was in the mix. Like I feel like I finished the summer pretty well. In 2025, I went over to Europe in like August, September, and I think I ran like 3 PBs in the 1500, all within a month, and feel like I ended the season well. Obviously with that championship being in January, it was, we thought that I might be a chance of getting selected. They ended up selecting Cam Myers, which obviously he's on an absolute tear, so I had no grievances with that. But yeah, he had some health issues, and I ended up getting the call up just after, I think it was Christmas Eve, or it might have even been Christmas Day actually. That the head selector called me and asked if I wanted the spot, and I was never going to turn it down. So found out on Christmas Day or around about then, and then I was already coming back to the US, back to flag on the 27th. So obviously with the championship being in Florida, I was coming back to the States, and had a couple of weeks in flag to prepare. And I'm actually super grateful for Cam for like giving me enough time, because I think it would have been a little bit of a different story if he had have like waited until a bit later to let me know, but I feel like he gave me plenty of time to prepare, and got back, prepared well, and then got out there, and I was pretty confident with our team. I felt like on paper we were definitely in the mix for the win, and everyone executed really well, and I ran third and was handed off to Jess, and I knew if I got the stick to her anywhere near the lead, she wasn't gonna let us down. So it was a pretty special experience, and hopefully would love to do it again someday.
Yeah, because like I know like the mixed relay, it's been around for a couple years now, but I think it's rising in popularity a little bit more now than ever. And I was going to ask like how specifically, like how does that selection process in Australia work? Because I guess you really don't have like a qualifier for it.
No, we have a world cross country trial for like the longer races, but like I said, I thought we would be in the mix based off of how I was running last summer, and that's basically how they selected it. It's just like kind of people who are in form at the right time. So I thought that with how I finished the summer, I might be a chance. And they basically just do it off of who was running well kind of the previous year, which I think, I don't know. That's why I think it's important to like, I don't know. I feel like you see a lot of people run the US champs or run whatever championship they have, and then if it doesn't go well, they just like hang up their spikes for the season and be like, okay, whatever. But I don't know. I feel like that's a good example of like why you just like got to keep pressing on, because you never know what opportunity might present itself later the next year, later that year. And I feel like the fact that I had a couple of hiccups earlier in the year with injury and stuff like that, but I definitely did not have to go over to Europe in August or September. I could have easily stayed at home and gone on a holiday, but I wanted to go over, and I feel like making that team was definitely a reward for going over and trying to run some PBs, and I'm definitely glad I went over there, because certainly wouldn't have been on that start line if I didn't make that trip. So
yeah, I guess that makes sense, because like eventually, ultimately, it's up to some kind of selection board. So I know USATF has that too.
Yeah. So yeah.
But I guess, take me into that. Like when you knew you'd be coming to Florida, obviously the weather's a lot different than Arizona and Australia.
Like I said, I'd been home in Australia for December, which was that's pretty much our peak summer, and it was absolutely brutal over there this year. Like I was having to work out at like 6 a.m. in the morning before it got too hot. So I actually feel like I was prepped pretty well for the heat because, it was peak summer. Obviously, the few months before that I was in flag, but I spent about 3.5 weeks at home in Australia, so I don't feel like I was unprepared for the weather whatsoever. And that's the nice thing about 2K as well. Like it was certainly warm, but I definitely felt for the people running the longer races because first of all we were earlier in the morning, so it wasn't even that hot yet. They ran at the hottest part of the day, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, whatever it was, and you could see the heat was taking a toll on a lot of the field in both the women's and the men's race. So yeah, but between the fact that it was such a short race and we were early in the morning, I don't think the heat kind of played a factor too much for our race.
That's kind of the wild thing here in the States too, because even NCAAs, they push it so it's TV time for most of the country.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why they had the schedule like they did. I feel like those 10K races would have been a lot higher quality if they had them earlier in the morning, because there was all the obstacles which were like difficult enough, and I don't think having the heat as another factor was leaning itself to like a really quality race. They were still unbelievable races, but yeah, I feel like they could have done the athletes a favor there and had the 10Ks a little bit earlier in the day.
Yeah, so I guess like what was it like? The course in Tallahassee, obviously it's a lot different for World Cross. Like what did you think of the course for, at least for what you ran too, for World Cross Champs this year?
Yeah, it was interesting. I think 5 obstacles is a lot for one 2K loop. And again, I really felt for the 10K runners because, having to do all 5 of those obstacles every lap for 5 laps is just brutal. But I feel like it definitely made things interesting. A lot of the obstacles that like we talked about being potentially really difficult weren't actually the ones that turned out to be the difficult ones. Like I feel like I don't know what you've heard, but I feel like a lot of people kind of underestimated the sand, which I think was the second obstacle on the course, and I feel like the sand was by far the hardest. Like it was about 500, 600 meters into the loop, and I feel like it just zapped you. Like you just like felt like you were literally running through quicksand, and it was also the longest of the obstacles. I think the mud and the water were like 20 meters, and the sand was like 40 or 50. That was the hardest one. The water was interesting because we didn't run through it. We weren't allowed to run through it the day before, so no one kind of knew how deep it was going to be. So you just kind of did that one live and hope for the best. But yeah, I feel like I got through that one relatively comfortably. I was most worried about the mud, but I think with it being so hot, it almost like turned the mud to like a clay kind of feeling. So it was like a lot harder underfoot than I kind of expected it to be, and that wasn't too bad at all. But yeah, definitely made things interesting.
Yeah, I mean, definitely for the mud, because obviously the 10K, no one else has ran through it yet.
Yeah, we were the first race of the day, so yeah, it was interesting. You just never know how you're going to be there. It was right at the end of the loop, the mud, so you just never knew, like, you're hoping that you were going to feel good enough to attack it. Yeah, my worst fear was that I was just going to be like, there was like a 200-meter hill leading into the mud section, and I was just thinking like, God, I hope I'm not lactic and just like absolutely walking through this mud. But yeah, luckily I got there with a bit of energy and could kind of power through it. So yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, and that hill on the course, it's not too bad, like, because it does stagger a bit.
Yeah, I think it's not too bad in terms of like grade, but the thing with that hill is I feel like the footing isn't very good. Like there's like tree branches coming out, and like it's kind of muddy through that section as well. It doesn't get a lot of sunlight, so it can be kind of like soft underfoot and everything. So yeah, it's not too bad of a hill, but yeah, you got to be kind of careful going through that section. So yeah, it was good to get through there unscathed.
Yeah, and I guess with the mixed relay, like I know your position, you didn't take off from the start line, and I guess the order for y'all, it was Oliver, Linden, you, and then Jessica Hull. How did y'all figure out what that lineup would be?
Well, yeah, so the team manager kind of called me the week before, and he was like, "Hey, we're pretty like it's as far as the women goes, like we're pretty set on having Jess anchor, which I think was a bit of a no-brainer. And Linden was really happy to go second, so that kind of worked itself out. And then Ollie and I, we kind of communicated with each other, and he was happy to go. He was happy to take either leg, and so was I. And so I think ultimately we kind of just like left it up to Jess, as kind of like she's got the most experience internationally, and she went with Ollie. She wanted to go with Ollie at the front and me at third, and like I said, me and Ollie were both happy with whatever. So I think it worked out well. I think Ollie's got a ton of international experience, and like all we needed from that leg was for him to just stay in it, and he did that perfectly. And then Linden ran out of her mind. I couldn't believe when she came tearing around the corner how much of a lead she had. But that was kind of how we decided.
Yeah, because it's interesting with cross country, they stipulate the order, whereas like world champs, there's no like stipulated order.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, but we didn't know if like it was going to be like woman, man, woman. We had no idea, but I don't know how they've done it in the previous world cross countries either, but we were pretty confident with like the order we had, and it worked out well. So
yeah, and I guess, I mean, obviously you kind of mentioned that with Jess taking on the last leg, but like what, compared to the field, I mean, like what kind of confidence did y'all have coming into the mixed relay?
I mean, with Jess anchoring, we didn't want to put too much pressure on her, but we were joking. Like the couple of days leading in, like we had a couple of team meetings, and we were pretty much like Ollie, myself, and Linden. Like our job was just to kind of give Jess a layup, and we knew that if we got her somewhere towards the front that she was going to win it for us. So a lot of pressure to put on her, and we tried not to word it that way, but I don't know, that's kind of just the reality of it. She's so world class, and she's ran 350 for 1500. She's world record holder at 2K, which is obviously that distance. So we just kind of tried to lay her up, and she took it home for us. So
yeah, and I guess I'm kind of curious, did you guys practice the handoffs?
No, I didn't even know what we were going to have. Like they gave us like a little sweatband thing with I guess it had like a tracking chip in it. They only gave it to us like in the, it's 30 minutes before the gun went off. So we didn't really practice, but the exchange zone was pretty big. So I don't think that anyone was too stressed, and I don't think anyone was moving too quickly by the time they got their leg finished anyway. So
yeah, it's probably easier than like a legit like baton.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. So
yeah, and I guess, like take me into it. Like obviously you're handed off the little tracking thing that you were given, but it looked like it was a good battle between you and the Frenchman.
Yeah, well, like I said, when Linden came tearing around the corner, I don't know, I feel like I prepared pretty well for like most scenarios. But I prepared to get it like somewhere towards the front, but I really didn't think she was going to open up a gap like that. So I was shitting my pants when she came around the corner, mind my French, but she gave it to me, and I could tell. I've raced that French guy on the circuit a fair bit, and know he's pretty good. So I knew he was going to come pretty hard at me, and I didn't, like I said, the plan was just to give Jess the best hand. So I thought with him chasing me that he was going to make some ground up, but I was just like, okay, run hard enough to where you can hold this lead, and then if he does get you, if he does come up on you, like just have enough to respond. And I think he got me. He kind of made some ground up and got up towards me by like, I don't know, 300 meters to go. It was right at the bottom of that hill, coming off the alligator things where you have to jump over him. He caught up to me and went straight by me, and then I just like jumped back on his back and kind of followed him up the hill, and then he tried to kick away one more time down the hill, and I just kind of responded to that. And then I thought about going past him, but I thought the best thing would honestly give Jess the decision whether she wants to go straight to the front or kind of sit on the French girl for a little bit. So I feel like I was pretty happy with how I executed it. You never want to go out too hard in that situation, because the last thing you want is to fall to pieces and fall back and maybe hand off in third or fourth. So I think it was I think looking back, I'm pretty happy with how I handled it.
Yeah, even with the 2K distance, there's still a lot of play that can go on with that, because it's far enough where you're not quite sprinting, but you still have to kind of be a little bit strategic with how you're going to make a move.
No, definitely. That was like the hardest thing, is I feel like when you're running solo on the track, you have feedback looking at a clock, or you don't need to be with people, because you can go, okay, I'm just going to run 60-second laps or 62-second laps. But like out on that course, there's no feedback whatsoever. So like there was a little bit of anxiety around like, okay, am I running hard enough here? Am I running too hard? But yeah, I feel like you just got to kind of measure things as best you possibly can, and it's never going to be perfect. But yeah, like I said, I was relatively happy with how I executed it. So yeah, all's well that ends well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess obviously, y'all took it home with the gold. So, kind of looking back at it, I don't know if you've watched the video of you guys or not, kind of watching it back, but obviously like that's such a huge accomplishment at like yet another world championship.
Yeah, I haven't watched it back, but yeah, no, it's definitely special. Like, I don't know, I feel like we've been producing some good middle distance runners or world-class middle distance runners for a few years now. And I feel like, yeah, that's just like an example of where we are at as a nation right now, as we're able to, put teams out there that are competing with Kenya and Ethiopia. And like Kenya sent a really good team. Like they had, a 327 guy and a low 330 guy and two world-class women. So like to beat them, to beat the French team that sent some world-class athletes, like I know Ethiopia sent a really good team. Like I think it just speaks volumes for like the athletes that we're churning out right now. So yeah, it's really exciting for us as a country.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess cross country is a lot different than, because you've been to world indoor, world roads, world cross country, but I guess what's the difference in the respect of like, I guess the vibe really? I mean, representing the country is huge, but on the athlete side of things, it's going to be a different type of environment given what world championship you're at.
Yeah. No, I feel like it's generally pretty similar. I mean, you get there and it's like, it's not just a normal meet. Like there's just like a lot more intensity to how people kind of carry themselves. Like you're not just like running as an individual. Like there's, you're with the national team, and yeah, there's expectations that come along with that. There's responsibilities and everything. And I feel like, although I've been to like a few different championships over different disciplines, like, yeah, I feel like every time I've turned up, it's been the same vibe. Like everyone's pretty switched on, everyone's locked in, and that you only get 1, 2, maybe 3 world championships a year, and you're trying to peak for each of those. So like everyone's turning up, meaning business. So yeah, although they've all been different disciplines, I feel like the general kind of vibe is the same.
Yeah, and I guess we can kind of close it out with, like obviously we're early into the 2026 year. You had World Cross, you had your 3K. What's the rest of that 2026 season looking like?
Yeah, it's an interesting year. I think I'd love to go to World Indoors again if I could. I feel like started the year off well with World Cross and that 3K last weekend, and got a couple more races coming up in the next couple of weeks. So, I would love to qualify for World Indoors if I could, and then I'll go back to Australia shortly after that, and do the back end of the domestic season at home, run nationals, I think the big goal would be Commonwealth Games. That's like pretty huge for us as Australians. It's probably second to the Olympics, maybe even more weight than a World Championship. So, to qualify for that would be pretty special. And then, I just want to keep running fast, run some PBs this year, and just keep improving. That's kind of the simple answer of it. But yeah, plenty to do this year.
Yeah, I feel like that's what's interesting with like a non-Olympic year, that you have big races, Oceania, Australia, and a mix within the United States.
Yeah. It's so hard. Like I feel like as Australians, it's really difficult because I feel like we need to be firing on all cylinders almost all year, because you want to be running well indoors, and then shortly after indoors, you've got the domestic season in Australia. And then after that, you've got kind of, you come back to the States and everyone's kind of hitting their straps for outdoor season. And it's kind of hard. And I feel the best way to kind of approach the year is you almost need to be like talented enough, or not talented enough, but like approach your year with the goal of like, if you can get through the domestic season in Australia at like 85 to 90% and get good results, like that's the best way that you're going to execute a really good year. Is it's so hard to like peak for like be at 100% for like the domestic season and indoor season, and then find a way to be still running at your best in August, September. So I feel like it's going to plan so far. I don't feel like I'm firing on all cylinders by any means, but I feel like I'm running well. So hopefully I can hold on to this for a little while longer, and then as the year goes on, kind of hit my straps a bit more. Yeah, sweet, easy enough, perfect. All right, mate, appreciate it. Thanks for chatting.
Oh yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Yep, see ya. And there we have it for episode 121 of the Florida Trail Runners podcast with Jack Anstey and the World Cross Country Championship. You know, it's always cool to hear about it. I know for me, I'm a little bit biased, but I love hearing about cross country. And that mixed relay event is super fascinating, especially hearing that perspective as you mix things up between events. So hey, we'll be back on the trail again. So, you know, until next time, happy trail.
Starting in the north, Tallahassee. Starting Central Florida, Tampa, Ocala, Orlando, Day City. Green Swamp, headed down south. Headed to the Keys, Lake to Ocean. Miami, out to the East Coast, Daytona, Jacksonville, Pioneer Trail. On a single trail, running 1 to 100 miles. 8 station to 8 station, all around. The Florida Trail Runner. Hit dirt where the palm trees sway. Mossy oaks, palmetto pines and cypress knees. Saw grass bending, go find your way. Swarm mist rising, every step I take I feel it flow. Beach sunrises, beach sunsets, sugar sand all around. From the Swanee River to the St. John's, from Crystal River and the Rainbow Springs, Weeki, Watchee, and Manatees, and the Everglades and Lake Okeechobee. Humidity is sticky, but I love this game. From the Panhandle down to the Keys, running free where the world feels at ease.